The snowflakes danced in the night air as the wind made them sway to and from, before landing on a snow-covered branch or the cold ground below. At this rate, every pony would spend the next morning shoveling for hours just to get a hoof out the door. Icicles hummed on the haunting tune with the breeze, desperately trying to reach for the solid ground below. The only light outside was Luna's room and stars that twinkled, making it a wonderful sight for harps warming. Fluttershy lay on the couch staring at the snowfall, although her cottage was quite cozy. It did nothing to warm her the cold in her heart. She wasn't a fan of winter. She had said goodbye to most of her animal friends months ago. Harry and many others were hibernating in their dens, waiting for spring to return. Many of her bird friends had already flown south, though this happened every year. Fluttershy was worried about them. Did they eat enough food, or had enough sleep to the entire winter? Did they find a warm place to sleep tonight? What if something bad happened to them during their journey? Fluttershy shook herself from those thoughts. They were fine. They were always fine, just like all those years before. A few of the animals that stayed mostly slept in their beds when they're not eaten. Angel was snoozing away in his bed with a half-eaten carrot in his paws. Although he was there, Fluttershy basically alone again this holiday season. Applejack and Pinkie Pie had left a few days ago to celebrate with the Pie family on the Rock Farm. Twilight and Spike were in Canterlot. Rainbow Dash was performing a winter celebration over Manhattan at the Wonderbolts. Rarity had taken her family on a winter getaway to Applewood, and she and her sister Sweetie Belle had snagged roles of Hearthwarming Eve's motion picture and was premiering tonight at the Pony Sea Theater there. Discord, her closest friend, was often diplomatic mission with Celestia and Luna in Yakayakistan. Her parents were going to arrive in a few days, but Saphir, Breeze, had gotten himself into trouble in the Saddle Arabia. Apparently, he was writing letters to Saddle Arabian princess that needed his help, only for him to arrive and get robbed and lost in the country. So they were very late and they couldn't make it to Hearthwarming Eve. Fluttershy couldn't bring herself to blame them or her brother that this happened every year. She would celebrate the holiday that brought ponies together, completely and utterly alone. "Am I interrupting your brooding?" Fluttershy squeaked in alarm when she heard a deep tempo voice of the latest resident in her home. She turned to see the former King Sombra entering the living room. Due to the success of reforming Discord, Celestia gave Fluttershy the task of reforming all of the previous foes. Celestia insisted the next villain to be reformed was from the former king of the Crystal Empire and dark magic sorcerer himself. Sombra had been living with Fluttershy since early spring, and she could see a great amount of improvement on his part. Although as a rocky first couple of weeks, Fluttershy was able to get him to open up and help the community. His demeanor and attitude had changed, although he spoke very gruffly, and his tone could be menacing at times. He was kinder and not as condescending as he was when she first met him. His appearance hadn't really changed much at that time either. His horn was still curved from all those years, and had used dark magic. His mane still flowed like menacing shadows during the night. His teeth were still as sharp daggers. Gone was the dark purple and green glow from his eyes, and was replaced with red pupils. His crown and cloak were also absent. He even was also no longer the dictator he once was. "I am so sorry, Sombra. Do you need anything?" Fluttershy politely asked, mentally kicking herself for not being good host to her student. "I was going to ask you the same thing," Sombra stated bluntly. This one was the first time Sombra had said anything like this. Though his behavior had improved, while he was still reluctant to help those around him, unless he had no other choice. "No, I'm okay," she lied. It was her job to help him, not the other way around. She didn't want to burden him with her problems. "I have a hard time believing that." Sombra walked forward and rested next to her on the couch. He stared at the snow with much distaste, on what Fluttershy didn't know. There was an awkward silence between the two of them before Sombra spoke again. "I think for once we have something in common." "What do you mean?" "I hate this time of year as well." I don't hate it," Fluttershy stammered. "I just miss my animal friends, that's all." "There's more to it than that," he grumbled. I overheard you talking to your parents over the landline. You are always alone this time of year. All your friends, pony, and animal are gone. Even your family can't show up." He gritted his teeth at the last point. When Fluttershy took the role on reforming Sombra, Princess Celestia confessed that Sombra and Discord were her younger brother and father, respectively. It had been closely guarded as a secret that only Fluttershy and the royal family knew. Fluttershy figured out that Sombra was upset that his family still didn't trust him on their royal mission for the holiday. She wasn't sure how to bring it up, so she kept quiet. Though I shouldn't complain, during my region of the Crystal Empire, I forced my citizens to suffer an eternal winter, but never gave them hearts warming. I wanted to break their spirits so they would never rise up against me. This, he gestured to the snow outside, this is all just one big reminder of what I am. The King of Shadows and Winter. A monster that every pony must hate and fear. I don't think that's true. A monster wouldn't feel bad about what they did. And what you just said now proves that you regret your decisions. It's still not enough. No matter how many ponies I help, it would never be enough for all the lives I have ruined. One day it will be enough, and you work hard every day to be a better pony. I know it will happen, and Celestia knows it too. But for now we just have to keep working on it, one step at a time. Sounds a little too optimistic, don't you think? He sighed, rubbing a hoof to his temples. But I thank you, I guess. Fluttershy gave him a warm smile. It was when she noticed that something near his front hooves. Sombra noticed her glance. I've heard it's a tradition to give some pony a gift during the holiday. He hovered over the small wrapped package in his magic towards Fluttershy. The package was poorly wrapped in green paper tied with red ribbon. Fluttershy gently smiled and opened the present. Inside was a circular wreath about the size of her own hoof. Unlike most wreaths that were constructed of branches and ribbons, the wreath was composed of feathers, bits of fur, teeth, claws. Fluttershy looked up at Sombra, puzzled. Before your animal friends left, I asked them to give me something of theirs, so a part of them would stay with you, even when they are far away or hibernating. It took me a few weeks to get everything together, but it didn't turn out the way I hoped. Fluttershy felt tears well up in her eyes. She hugged the little wreath close to her chest. It felt like she was being hugged by all of her critters. Sombra, this is the most thoughtful gift any pony has ever given me. She wiped the tears from her eyes and fluttered over to the fireplace and placed the wreath on the mantelpiece alongside the pictures of her family and friends. Oh, and I have something for you too. Fluttershy took off to the hallway closet and grabbed a large red package that she stored away. She grunted as she lunged it towards the hallway into the living room. Sombra had a surprised look on his face, and the thought of some pony giving him a heartwarming present. Here, happy heartwarming, Sombra, she said between gasps of air. Sombra chuckled and walked over to the package and grabbed the ribbon to open up. He levitated the gift from his package. It was a large quilt that was mostly red with white and black edges similar to his old cloak he wore as a tyrant. The major difference was the individual squares. Each had detail embroidered image of Sombra's redemption journey of that year. Him putting out the fire of Miss Cheerly's schoolhouse, saving Bonbon's kitten from a tree, and so many more. I made it to prove all the progress you made this year, to remember all the good deeds. I know sometimes it's hard to move away from the past, but I hope this gives you some comfort. Sombra levitated the quilt around his shoulders, and he wrapped it around himself. It's very thoughtful, he simply stated. Fluttershy smiled. Though he didn't emote like the normal ponies he knew, deep inside he was happy. Before either of them could say anything else, Fluttershy let out a large sneeze. Sombra chuckled slightly. Cold? Just a little. I'll put more wood in the fire, she said, moved towards the logs. She let out a squeak as she was encased with Sombra's magic. She was moving underneath the quilt, pressed against Sombra's side, making her blush. I'll take care of that. You should enjoy yourself. Fluttershy nodded and watched him add more logs to the fire. The cracking of the fire was only the noise in the living room, as the two enjoyed their silent company. The smell of the fire left a lovely scent in the air. It wasn't long until the room became warm again underneath the blanket. This time it warmed Fluttershy's heart. She wasn't alone, not anymore. This wasn't the dreaded loneliness season of past years, but a true hearth-warming eve. Fluttershy closed her eyes in a bliss and contempt as she slowly dozed off. Sombra shifted his weight into the quilt to make her feel more comfortable. He let out a genial smile at grace of his face and watched her drift off to dreamland next to him. He gently bent his neck, not wanting to wake her, placed a small kiss to her forehead. Happy hearth-warming eve, Fluttershy. What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, please stay pretty.